Hey, thanks for joining us on NBCLX. It is Tuesday, April 13th. I'm Jo Beth DeVera, and my girl Tabitha Lipkin joining us from her living room today. She's going to join us a little later on, but I want to get to some major news right now when it comes to the vaccine. The FDA tweeting out this morning that they and the CDC are recommending a pause in the use of the Johnson & Johnson single-shot vaccine. Now, this thread behind me shows the details about the decision. They say it is made out of an abundance of caution. And the reason they're recommending the pause is because out of the almost 7 million Johnson & Johnson vaccines already given out here in the U.S., data shows that a small number, 6 reported cases of a rare and severe type of blood clot. The CDC will hold a meeting with the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices tomorrow to further review these cases. But in the meantime, we want to bring some more context to this decision and bring in former FDA Associate Commissioner Peter Pitts. First question, Peter, here that comes to mind is, what does this mean for the nearly 7 million people who've already got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine?
For people who have already gotten the J&J vaccine, if you've had the vaccine and it's been 4 weeks, you're probably in the clear. This is for people that have had the vaccine within the last 3 weeks. The 6 women who've had these blood clots have only gotten the vaccine within the last 3 weeks. So if it's been 4 weeks, you're outside of that window. However, if you have gotten the vaccine and you feel severe headaches, abdominal pain, shortness of breath, it's recommended that you contact your healthcare provider. The blood clot that the 6 women who have been reported, one of whom has died and one of whom is in critical condition in the hospital, is a very rare type of clot. It's called a cerebral venous thrombosis. So even though 7 million people have gotten the vaccine, only 6 reported blood clots. It is a rare blood clot. And as you've said, the CDC and FDA are saying, out of an abundance of caution, they're recommending that federal sites suspend the use of this vaccine, that state sites also follow that recommendation.
So we're talking about 6 cases out of 7 million that you just said. It's a pretty small number. Do you think the FDA and the CDC are being overly cautious, or was pausing the vaccine the right move to make here?
Well, obviously, 6 adverse events in a universe of 7 million is a minute percentage. But the mitigating factor here is that it's a really relatively rare blood clot, and one person has died and one person is in critical condition. So I think the FDA and the CDC made the right move. Abundance of caution is exactly right. You have to recognize that all vaccines, all medicines for that matter, have risk and benefit. And clearly, the benefit of being vaccinated against coronavirus is quite enormous. So there's going to be a meeting tomorrow. The CDC's advisory committee, FDA is working on this right now, and they're going to want to reach a conclusion relatively soon because the J&J vaccine is part of our national armamentarium against the virus. It's a single shot, and as we open up vaccinations to the general public, and as the FDA is considering opening up vaccines to children 12 to 17, we want to have as many vaccines on hand as possible. And clearly the J&J vaccine, the single dose vaccine that could be stored at higher temperatures, is an important part of that process.
Is this the same thing that happened over in Europe with the AstraZeneca vaccine? I know that was paused as well when there were also reported blood clots happening.
The J&J vaccine and the AstraZeneca vaccine both use as their delivery platform an adenovirus, which is a mild kind of common cold virus for its delivery. Okay. But as I said, correlation is not causation. So we don't really know if the platform is the cause, whether it's the delivery of the immune response that's the cause, or whether the AstraZeneca blood clots are the same as the blood clots we're seeing here through the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. So a lot of data yet to be collected. We've got to follow the science to the proper conclusion.
Do you think, Peter, that this has anything to do also with the mix-up of ingredients at that Baltimore facility that manufactures both the Johnson & Johnson vaccine and the AstraZeneca vaccine?
Well, the AstraZeneca vaccine is not available in the U.S.
Right.
And the Johnson & Johnson vaccines that were manufactured in error never left the factory. They were destroyed. So that's not going to be, a potential cause. We did the right thing. The quality control mechanisms caught this mistake, and those vaccines were destroyed. But my fear is that this new issue is going to kind of re-energize the anti-vaxxers and vaccine skeptics out there. So I would recommend that if people really want the truth on what's happening, the hard truth, the immediate truth, rather than going to social media, they should go to the CDC website, which is cdc.gov, or the FDA website, which is fda.gov, for the absolute, straight science on what's happening right now relative to the Johnson & Johnson vaccine.
Good point there. How does anyone know that they're actually receiving the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, though? Because, we've been hearing health experts say, just get whatever vaccine is available to you. So how do you really know if you're getting that shot?
Well, the good news is that every American who gets vaccinated gets a CDC vaccine card. And on that card, it tells you exactly what was in the injection, the name of the company, and the lot number of the product. So, any suspicions you might have, or if you forgot, look at your card. It's right there, written on the card, and forewarned is forearmed.
All right, so is this news going to affect anybody who has appointments today in getting the Johnson & Johnson vaccine?
It really depends where you are. Some states are using largely Moderna vaccines, others Pfizer, some Johnson & Johnson. So, obviously, you'll get a communication from your vaccine site telling you whether or not your inoculation date has changed. But it's good just to check, go online, pick up the phone, find out what's happening, and hopefully you'll still be able to get vaccinated on schedule.
And lastly, Peter, what does this mean for us in terms of the U.S. reaching its vaccination goals to get things back to normal?
Right now, we're vaccinating about 4 million people a day. That's an astounding number. We really made tremendous progress. The good news is that the Johnson & Johnson vaccine to date has not made up a huge percentage of the inoculations that we're giving. 7 million out of hundreds of million is significant, but it's not going to ground our effort to a halt. Will it impact us? Sure it will. Will it slow it down? A little bit. But we'll be able to ramp up and keep up those numbers with or without the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, hopefully with the vaccine moving forward.
All right, we'll be keeping our eyes on this. Peter Pitts, thank you.
My pleasure.